crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here with a card for Cat Scrappiness. I am on the Cat Scrappiness design team, and I'm here to share part of their latest release. There is this new avocado themed stamp set called You Guac My World, and it's a super punny stamp set with lots of adorable images. And what I love most about them is, besides being really cute, they are very easy to color, very straightforward. So I'm just going to color one avocado for you today, but I do have the whole sheet and all the different choices there. I'm going to color them all, and then I'm going to decide what I want to use on my card. And I do this fairly often. I usually don't color just for one card at a time. To color my avocados, I'll be using E15 and 18 for the pits here, and in general, I make the center of the pit lighter and the two long sides darker just to give it a bit of a rounded look. And for the inside and outside of the avocado, for the green parts, I'm going to use YG00, 01, 03, and 06. I'll start by coloring the inside, and I'll just give it an all-over coat of YG00. And I'm not worried about whether or not this YG00 is bleeding into the sort of skin part or the peel part of the avocado, because I'm going to color that in a darker color later. And in fact, I did often color this inside piece before I even colored the pit, because again, if I got a little bit of the green inside the pit area, it didn't matter because I was using a darker color. Not that I was too sloppy, but just kind of speeds things up a bit. I would use a bit of YG03 for the darkest shading and blend it out with the YG00. YG01. So those three colors are just for the sort of inside. And then I color the peel with the YG06, and I just make it a solid color. I'm not doing any blending there. My blending on the inside of the avocado is around the peel and around the pit, just very, very simple blending to give it a bit of interest. And, an avocado generally has a smooth texture, so I do want my blending to look very smooth overall. But other than that, not worrying about it too much. So once I have some avocados picked out, I have decided to also feature the new nested layering heart die cuts. What's awesome about these die cuts is they're plain hearts, but they layer with almost all of the other Cat Scrappiness hearts. So it's a lot of bang for your buck in the sense of it could enhance many of the die cuts you already have in your collection, besides just being a simple plain heart when you need it to. So I decided to cut out a green cardstock heart from the stitched scallop heart die cuts, and I'm in the largest heart. Then I cut out a plain white heart to layer inside, but I knew I didn't want to keep it white. I wanted to add the sort of brown look. So like green on the outside, brown on the inside, similar to the avocado. So I'm going to kind of mimic that look. I decided not to cut it out of brown cardstock just because I wanted it to have a bit more interest. I didn't want it to be too solid, too blended. And I know I want to add some avocados in there. There are a lot of cute sayings in the stamp set. However, I just wanted my sentiment to have a little bit more weight to it. So with that in mind, instead of using the Avo Great Birthday or Avonos Day stamps, I'm going to use the condensed lowercase alphas from Cat Scrappiness to spell out the Avo, because it's such a small word fragment there. And that way it gives a little more punch to my sentiment, but still takes advantage of the punny sentiments from the stamp set. Before I glue down those words, I do want to make sure my Distress Oxide, which is the vintage photo color, that background is completely dry. Any ink will do, brown cardstock will do, etc., etc. But if you're using ink, you really want it to be dry. I do have the full-length sticky on the back of those letters, and if your ink isn't dry, often it will be sticking to the ink and not really sticking to the cardstock, and then the letters might peel off later. So now that I know for sure that it's dry, I'm going to carefully place down my letters. I want to try to make them, straight if possible. It's handmade, so I'm not too worried about it, but trying here. And I am considering that I do want it to hang off the side of the card a bit. I'm going to kind of create the look of it just going over the card base, and that is to add a bit of interest and movement to the card. Whereas like if everything was fully featured on the card, it would be able to, you could put it in the center and you would really draw your eyes to it, but putting it off the edge makes it just kind of feel like things might be continuing a bit more. So I'm going to stamp the nice day part, but I have to cover the avo. I could have cut it, but I didn't think that was necessary since I could just cover that up, and then that way later I wouldn't have to bother to line them up or anything like that. So I just covered it with a piece of my painter's tape, stamped down just the nice day after peeling the painter's tape up, and I will center my sentiment heart inside of my solid cardstock heart. My greens are quite different. The ones that I color, the avocados, are much more sort of limey green than this background heart here, but I actually think that in general that was a good thing. I didn't want the whole card to be too matchy-matchy. I think things would have stood out a little bit less. So now my heart is really full, and I'm like, how am I going to fit all of these little avocados that I want to put on it? And one way that I'm able to do that is I'm going to layer them underneath the letters. So I'm going to gently peel up the letters and put them down. I thought about just putting one avocado on because I knew that if I it was either going to be 1 or 3. I'm not the kind of person who does things in pairs very often. There's a time and a place, of course, like a couple's card, etc., etc. But in this case, I knew that's kind of like where I would wind up. So I tried the idea of 1, but it just didn't look full enough. So I went for it, and I'm going to add 3 avocados to this card, even though it's going to really crowd up my heart here. What did work out is when I cut these with my brother's Scan and Cut, I was having a bit of trouble with it because I haven't changed the mat or whatever like I should have. And so one of my avocados got a little like nick or cut in it. And I was able to layer the avocados, like tucking them under each other in such a way that it covered up that little cut. And so it sort of saved my avocado too, rather than wasting it in, kind of disposing of it just because it had that little imperfection in it. So I also put another avocado down there in the bottom, and he's going to be layering off the side of it too. And then I don't know where the video footage went, but I totally put some lime jewels on this too because I really wanted to tie that lime back in. So I'm also going to add 3 lime jewels from Cat Scrappiness to really finish off this card. It might have been 4, just a couple jewels to finish it off there. So if you like this card, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I will leave you links in the video description to these products as well as a coupon code to Cat Scrappiness so that you can check out these new